This is the ultimate guide for the AWP in CS2. After watching this video, you will feel more confident and hit more insane shots with this staple of Counter-Strike. If you're not sure, you can trust me. I'm Louis, a 3000 ELO player on Faceit, and I play internationally with Team USA at LAN events around the world. We'll start with the most effective ways to peek to guarantee more kills. Then we'll talk about how crosshair placement is different with the AWP and how you can use it to your advantage. Next, we'll go over how to keep perfect positioning with this weapon versus other guns like the AK or M4. Then we'll talk about your playstyle to maximize his kills. Go into settings you should change, including how to get the perfect sensitivity for the AWP. And finally, how to be able to afford the AWP more often so you can actually use the weapon. I've included timestamps in the description below so you can skip ahead or revisit any tip that you like. Let's talk about the fundamentals of AWPing, and the first one is peeking. There's not that many ways of peeking with an AWP, especially if you are a rifler. You probably understand how to peek, but there's a lot of things that you guys need to understand. Now, the first peek there is obviously the standard peek, where if I was just wanting to entry out into B apps and I want my team to follow me, I'm just going to scope back here so no one can hear me scope, and I would walk up all the way to here, and then I would just peek the van guy like a normal peek. It's the same if I had like a deagle or maybe a P250 on a pistol round, where I'm just coming out here and trying to peek this guy. This is a very normal peek. Now, one thing to keep in mind, that when you do have an AWP, when you are scoped in, you are a lot slower in your movement speed. So this is something that you do have to remember, that if you are peeking out with your scope, you are at the disadvantage, which brings me into the next peek, which is the crouch peek. So if you guys do watch my videos, you guys understand that a crouch peek is going to move the crosshair of the opponent holding you. So if you are crouch peeking something, this guy is going to have to adjust his crosshair, or if he has a rifle, he's going to have to move and spray down to you, which gives you the advantage with an AWP. So one of the most important things that you guys can do, if you are in a position like empty pillar on B, and maybe you know someone's over in market door, the best thing to do is just crouch and scope and then shoot him with a nice crouch peek, because this is going to be fast on his screen. And we can even implement the movement trick that we talked about earlier in my other videos, where you strafe to the left first and then just come crouch peek, so you're a lot faster on his screen, and this will give you the most advantage that you have. Now, the next peek that we can talk about is more of a style peek that you may see a lot of flashy operators do, like Munacy or what Simple used to do, and that is just the simple jump peek. There's a lot of spots on the map that you can abuse this, but it's really honed down to certain scenarios. So if I knew someone was at market door, I could just come here, jump peek, and then just shoot him and just totally catch him off guard, because again, I'm dragging this player's crosshair that would be in market door. No matter where he is, he has to try to follow me and track me, and since he has to also control recoil, trying to follow me down where I'm going, and he's trying to track, trying to get a headshot, trying to focus on his spray, you will have the advantage. And before we move on to why crosshair placement is different with the AWP, let me tell you about the Monkey. Skins Monkey is a CS2 skins trading site marketplace that provides an instant way to get new skins. My favorite thing about Skins Monkey is that I can trade skins that I no longer want and trade it for a skin that has equal value. If you use code LouisCS2, you get a $5 bonus on your first trade. And if you want to buy skins, you can get a 30% deposit bonus plus an extra 5% using my code. The link is down in the description. Thank you, Skins Monkey, for sponsoring this video. Now, a lot of people talk about crosshair placement, but no one ever talks about crosshair placement with the AWP, because crosshair placement is more focused at head level, but it is a lot different with the AWP. And the reason is because most of the time you're going to be holding an angle. So if I knew that people were going to come up cat and I was sitting here anchoring the B site, maybe I have a teammate on balc holding apps for me and I don't have to worry about it at all, I could just sit here on cat. But the biggest mistake that a lot of players will do is they will double scope and try to hold the slightest angle. Now, this is really bad, because if they smoke con and they smoke window and it's obvious that they're going to go up cat, they're not going to just sit here and just walk up cat. They're going to be swinging out, trying to drag crosshairs and find the setup of whatever the CTs are in, so then these next teammates can come here and fight and trade. So if I were to hold a tight angle and this guy swung across and I missed the shot, now I'm trapped, because I'm just going to get totally swarmed by these people running up cat, and then I just lost a round for my team. So it's very important as an operator that you hold a nice wide angle. If you want to double scope, that is totally fine. I'm not someone who likes to double scope at all, but you want to make sure that you're holding wide out of the angle, especially if you're playing online CS, so then you can actually frag this guy that's trying to swing you. Now, one thing to note about crosshair placement as well that may be a little bit different than a rifle, a lot of you guys know that you want to pre-aim when you're coming out at angle. So if I'm coming out A with a P250, I'm pre-aiming my spots through the wall already. Now, if you are an operator, that's something you don't want to do. You want to just drag your crosshair on the angle against the wall and just track the wall on this angle instead of pre-aiming. Now let's talk about positioning, because positioning is a lot different than a rifler, because riflers are going to be playing a lot of off-angle spots. So if I were a rifler holding connector, I would obviously be holding this right here, this nice off angle, and just fragging people coming up con. But as an opper, it's important that you always have a fallback spot, because if I was sitting here with an op and I were to shoot and try to fall back, anyone coming up con is going to have a nice time to hear me shoot and then just swing out and just try to kill me, because I have to cock back my op and I have about a 1 to 2 second window where I can't shoot, so I'm going to get run down. So if I were to hold connector, I would be holding this line right here where I can shoot, jump back, hold the next line, shoot, I can keep falling, and then I would shoot again, in, and I could probably get about 3 kills right here just because I have a nice fallback spot. Now, another cool thing about positioning that I know a lot of noobs don't do is they don't abuse their spawns on T and CT side. Especially on CT side Mirage, if I have a palace spawn as an opper, I'm going to be running all the way over here towards default and taking this spawn so I can beat this T in a palace and just hold and keep this control. And then it eliminates a part on the map that my team has to worry about, and it also gives them info that if there is a lurk, he's probably towards ramp, or that the team is heavy B or heavy mid. Same thing goes if I have a nice spawn towards mid. I could come to window and just make the cat jump over out towards mid, because obviously I don't want to play behind a window smoke the whole round. So I can come and take this position, get a nice kill with anyone out mid, and then just reposition somewhere else on the map where they won't expect me. So now it's important to figure out the style of that you want to opt. So I talk about playstyle a lot because it creates consistency in your play. So one thing that you guys need to be doing is figure out how you want to opt. And there's pretty much 2 ways that you can opt. It's either passive or aggressive. So if you are a passive opper, you're someone that's pretty much just going to be holding angles for the whole round. Like maybe you just want to park upper B and just hold this line, or maybe you just want to come here and take the deep line for the whole round and pretty much just eliminate this from any terrace or tees and let your teammates have the opportunity to take this information and use it towards mid and A. Or maybe you just want to be stationed up over here towards ticket and just holding ramp and palace for the whole round and just pretty much being passive. And if that style isn't for you, then you can look towards Munacy and Simple, where these guys are really aggressive, where you will see them jump out mid towards con, hold this angle, killing anyone out mid, or maybe they're making the cat jump and trying to get a nice free opening kill. More of the aggressive oppers are the ones that are running out trying to get the free kills. Like if someone were to flash over ramp when I had the ramp spawn, they would come out ramp right here and try to kill anyone towards triple and then fall back and just keep trying to get the advantage for their team with the first kill in a very aggressive way. Now we're going to talk about settings, because oppers are known to have really high sensitivity. So if you do have a lower sensitivity, it might be a lot harder to flick around with your op and your scope. But one thing that you can change is your zoom sensitivity. There is a command right here in your console where you can change the sensitivity of the scope. Default is 1, which is what I have it on currently, but it's something that you can change if you want to be faster while you are scoped in, because a lot of people with a rifle sense like to have a slower sense, which is totally okay. But maybe when you scope into your op, you want it to double your sensitivity, so then you're just going to be able to flick around like Simple or Munacy does, and that definitely is an option. You can actually change your crosshair in your sniper. So if I were to scope in here, you can see that it is pretty thin, but if I wanted a thicker line, you can see that if I keep increasing this line is only going to get thicker. And I think 2 is really perfect as well, but you do have the ability to change it if you do think your crosshair is a little bit too thin. You could also determine the res you're playing on as well. If you're playing on native, it could look a lot thinner than what I'm playing on, because I'm playing on 1280 by 1024 stretched at the moment. And the last setting is the auto rezoom after shot. So I have this on yes right now. So if I were to shoot an op shot, my op would scope in again automatically. So if I was sitting here fighting on, you know, maybe an A execute, I kill someone here, I can just jump back, automatically scope in, and just keep scoping in and falling back, and I don't have to worry about quick switching and pulling my op back out. Now for this last tip, this is more of a small tip, but you want to make sure that you're always saving for your op and looking at the economy. One thing I really recommend is on like a second round buy on T or CT side is that you buy an SMG with like no nades or anything, and you're just playing really close spots. Like a lot of oppers on Mirage, if they win CT pistol round, you'll see them come play top bout just holding for a nice palace pop or anyone coming out A. You want to make sure that you're focused on farming money and saving up your money so you can buy the op, because the op is very important, because it's going to guarantee you a free kill, and this gun is very important, especially if your team is playing around it or you know how to use it because you just watched this guide. So always keep track of your money and make sure that you can buy an op, or just ask your teammates to save for you if they do have more money. If this video helped you, make sure to check out this video on how to master the HE by clicking the video on screen now.